We started the beginning of the previous game, game 2, talking about mental state and what is the mental state from game 1 carrying over to game 2 going to be like, and how that would probably advantage TL. Now though, it's going to be huge advantages for KC. You have to feel like with all of those individual outplays just make you feel so confident in all aspects of the game. So if they do get a good draft, you have to feel like they're feeling much more confident and calm here up on stage. But let's get into it. I don't foresee a lot of change. I do see a little bit. I mean, the Rumble there, they've banned that away from Impact. So a little bit of things are like changing sides here. But I would still ban Taliyah if I'm KC, because personally...
Caliste's the one that is still up.
Okay, well...
So now Taliyah's open.
I think Taliyah is very, very good for APA. Kind of regardless even of what jungler you get for UmTi. But that is just if you're going down like his individual player tier list.
So in game number 1, Canna was getting the better of Impact, sure, due to matchup as well, and then the bot lane was getting the better, for TL was getting the better of that of KC. In game 2 that repeated, for me the biggest difference was jungle and mid. Both were getting gapped pretty aggressively. Obviously, UmTi mostly in the play towards top side, as there is a Taliyah, unsurprisingly. But that's why I actually really like this, ensuring that APA is a champion that he can perform on, because if he doesn't get solo killed and that point of pressure on that just completely falls away, so many of the plays that happen subsequently feels like that's where the snowball started. I do think picking Taliyah this early in a draft is going to be always very risky, so we'll see what Vladi has as an answer.
We also talked about ease of execution in Game 2, and I think it's really hard to recreate the success you found in Game 2 for KC in terms of ease of execution on the top side. Xin, one of the champions that can get it done, but Camille, one of the few champions that has the CC to set up plays, can also snowball. Gnar is another pick that comes to mind, but it's less reliable. It's not that immediate engage that's always going to be there.
And the Rumble has already been taken away. Galio is always another champion that we'll look at with the Xin Zhao. If you do want to combo it, don't think that that is going to be super fun to play into the Taliyah, though.
No. What is the angle going to be? KC. Ahri will be the option. Ooh. So the dash obviously can be interrupted, but a lot of playmaking potential with this pick. But a very early to mid-game style composition when you have the Xin, when you have the Ahri, these champions that can find picks, similar to what KC brought in Game 1, can be volatile options. Don't always scale the best.
And the mobility there for the Ahri to try and escape whatever sort of pairing here UmTi wants to throw with the Taliyah. Of course, that's why the Xin Zhao was a good steal away pick for KC. You're taking away one of the premier dueling AD jungles that TL will be fishing for. And they throw down their Kaisa, so we're going to get some dive here as well. Expecting some follow-up CC.
There isn't a lot left, is the problem.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit thin, even though we are only in game number 3 here of Fearless.
Also, it's not lane swap meta, so Alistar, which would normally be an option on the list, is really not on the list. It's a champion who struggles to deliver in those early lanes.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is if you end up going for Rakan, you know, the Kai'Sa Rakan is extremely weak in lane, but once you get out of lane, it is insanely strong. Rakan is a really easy way of activating those. You still get CoreJJ on an engaged support as well. The Poppy still being open might make that a little bit scarier.
I saw Cassante flash up there on the big screen. I don't know if that actually indicated it's something that was going on in game.
And we'll get to see when we get back
Impact on a tank?
Champ Select. I imagine it's similar to Game 1, where it's just a quick remake of the lobby, but we'll keep you guys posted if there's any other updates needed. The thing I'll say is it's an interesting situation for TL, because if they do want to lock both halves of their bot lane there, KC can only respond with one half of a bot lane of their own, and it does allow you to mitigate some of the weaker matchups for that Kai'Sa. I love Kai'Sa as a champion, but if the enemy team can just lock in Corki, your early lane phase is so impossible to play.
There are so many, right? Like Corki, I think, is one that doesn't require quite as much commitment, but you can have the spectrum all the way from something like a Jhin that is still annoying to deal with, Jhin Bard, to Caitlyn Lux. Like, there are so many matchups that are just unplayable, and I think the reason why Kai'Sa has really crept up in prio over the recent months was because of lane swaps, because you can just swap out of any of the bad matchups. Once you get to 6 and you just get through those early levels, she does get a ton of power, and it makes it a lot safer to try and match the lane. I do like the fact that they ensure that Yeon is something that he feels comfortable, that he can carry on, because he has been, even in the loss, by far the most consistent player that TL have had. And I think they're going to rely on him if they want to win this game number 3 as well.
Certainly are. Certainly are. All right, let's see as we try and get ourselves back into it for the champion select. We
keep you guys updated when we get a little bit more info.
Because I'm trying to listen to the Korean casters. Unfortunately, you guys are not here with Wolf or Valdes, who could actually tell you what will be going on. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back soon. There we are.
All right, into picks and bans. We'll see what remains the same if we are just recreating. Give you guys an update in a moment. Draven. Okay, so keeping the same classics. See what that pick 3 is going to be.
And going down the AD junglers that TL are going to be fishing for to try and pair here. Let's see. Vi was already used. Like Jarvan is still available.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, right? Because particularly with Taliyah, you want something that both provides CC as well as...
Okay, so the Cassante did mean something that we saw on the big screen.
Really, Xin Zhao is kind of the key pick that you would have wanted, right? Something that has reliable knock-up.
But they're dropping jungle anyways, I believe, because we had the other pick as well.
Also, as an update to the earlier issue, there was some sort of problem with the client that stopped TL from locking in their selected champion. So that's why we're seeing the Cassante here and not
so the Kai'Sa.
The Kai'Sa was an error caused after League officials investigated by the client, so they allowed them to remake from that point.
Cassante and Kai'Sa.
So Cassante, Nocturne will be the lock-ins. We can forget about the Kai'Sa, as fun as that discussion was.
So the AD junglers we were talking about, the Nocturne here, it does not set up for Taliyah, but does work well with side lane pressure. So the synergy there is not in lane phase. It is synergy with Taliyah in a very different way. It is synergy in playing the mid game and trying to pressure side lanes. And I also do like this, although it does give you a way to go way, way too deep in some plays. So we'll see about the coordination with that combination. But this is a combination that can have extremely powerful synergies.
And funnily enough, what you'd want to pair with the Nocturne is actually dive, right? So I do think that Kai'Sa pick does remain at the forefront on our minds. There is also something like the Jhin, where you'd not necessarily have to be in the middle of the fight. And I think as we get deeper into the pool, right, game number 3 now, the value of picks like that are going to skyrocket. On the flip side, though, especially with that Xayah ban, KC could very well themselves be fishing to just pick up that Kai'Sa on 4, save the counter pick, and then, because with the Ahri and the Xin Zhao already locked in, you're going to be very happy to play towards that. The amount of CC that's available that Caliste would then be able to utilize is quite large.
It's going to be a tough game for AD carries either way. You either pick the Kai'Sa who gets to dive with your dive, or you pick something else and you're going to get dove on. And it's while your dive probably jumps forward. So I think it's tricky for both AD carries in terms of what is the actual premier option. And part of the reason why we're seeing the Xayah taken off the board. Don't want a champion that can just easily ignore a lot of that dive threat. Final ban here for KC as they take a bit more time will be the Corki, potentially heralding, as you mentioned before, Mao, that they want to lock this Kai'Sa in, taking away some of the good AD carries into it.
Interesting, man. TL's final response. Did they want to go even deeper into it, or just keep on banning support engages?
It's so tough as well, because I think TL is a lot more tied to particularly the power of that Nocturne, right? I actually really like the Lulu ban, because we are getting to the point in the series as well where something like a Zeri Lulu, like there is actually zero guaranteed CC on the side of TL, right? So if you have a Zeri that can just skate over and easily get away with the help of the Lulu, I think the game would be really hard to play out.
What about some like Caitlyn pushing lane?
Yeah, Caitlyn Lux, I think is valid.
Because if you can push early with Caitlyn and try and get tower pressure and get those side towers down.
An option every pick going to the last second here. It's going to be the Zeri. Yeah. So the Lulu ban, a solid call out. What is the response here from the side of TL. Zeri is, if you don't shut the Zeri down, she's always inevitably going to be a problem. It feels like it demands either matching some of the scaling or picking something insanely aggressive, and aggression has worked so far for TL in this series.
Like, I'm looking towards the Jhin in terms of lane pressure, but I think Jhin is really hard to play into the amount of backline dive that's available for the enemy team. The one thing that not only is the Lulu Zeri like a great late game combo, but it also actually has a lot of laning pressure. I think Lulu is one of the most oppressive supports if she does end up in good matchups. Instead, that's the classic. I think it's going to be Zeri Yuumi.
Okay, I'm gonna call back because
Yeah.
this is really important for Western fans to understand. The only 80 carry in the West who has played Lucian successfully is Yeon. This is a huge opportunity for Caliste and or Yeon to prove themselves. This is a powerhouse 2v2 that has almost always failed in the hands of Western ADs.
What's that grin? Yeah,
Yeon
there it
the
is.
exception.
Oh my God, we knew!
We've gone back in time! We've gone back in time! Zeri Yuumi versus Lucian Nami. Good point though, Dracos. Yeon got his Lucian license last year at MSI.
Yep.
Well earned. Oh, Spawn giving him, hyping up UmTi as well, trying to get the team into it. Let's go. All right, so Team Liquid, they invested in that ultimate synergy we were talking about with Taliyah and Nocturne, try and make some picks for themselves on side lanes there. But, I mean, KC putting the Zeri Yuumi in the hands of Caliste there. A team fight will be hard to track down.
And if I'm looking at these two drafts, I think I'd rather be KC. You have pressure on the top side of the map. I think your mid-jungle duo is miles ahead when it comes to just raw power and as well as how well they synergize together. And these games have been so snowbally that I find it hard to imagine a scenario where either the Lucian Nami just completely takes over because Yeon and CoreJJ have been so consistent, have been so powerful, and there's a lot of dive pressure and global side lane pressure from the two ultimates, or you get a complete stomping and bulldozing of that Xin Zhao and Ahri combo, because if you do start falling behind, those can make such deep plays, and then the Zeri goes unchecked.
I'm also a little bit worried about the Gnar push and how much top lane control can go over that way, but we shall see.
I'm worried about a lot of stuff right now, guys.
I'm excited!
I'm so excited, but the thing is, both of these comps, incredibly explosive mid-game. The late game insurance for KC is there, but man, that early game
It
with
all
the
comes
Yuumi
down
can
to
be
this.
rough. All I gotta say is, Korean fans saying Karmine Corp fighting and TL fighting goes hard. That's a feels good for me.
It does. I love that they also go for the whole name as well, which is especially for Korea is a lot more awkward. It works so well. The Low Park fans are amazing, man.
Builds the environment nicely. As we are
Got our mini map on. Perfect. Ready to
turn
go.
it on, overlay on. But you highlighted it, Kobe. This top lane matchup, same as it's been in games 1 and 2. Expected to be Gnar favorite. The difference impact on this Cassante has been a rock for TL in so many games, across now so many years of gameplay. This man has been so consistent. And so if he can weather the storm, similar to how he did in game 1, it's going to be much harder for Canna to find that advantage. Gnar can snowball, but it's not the Camille in terms of immediate reliable pressure.
I want to highlight the Lucian Nami as well, because we've had a lot of different iterations, as you love to see it, here between Canna and Impact. As that international game stat for Impact, I think it never gets old. And again, we saw there for Canna, it's so easy to forget that with the 4-man core of Owner, Faker, Guma, and Carry, he actually was a single game away from beating DK in the 2021 finals and making it with the core of the roster that obviously later would go on to have a large amount of success. But we're currently on the iteration of Lucian Nami, where early on they're decent. I think the lack of a Lulu means that they also will have more lane pressure than they otherwise would have had. But it's really the one-item spike, right? That's when you actually get to leverage the mid lane pride. That's when you get to start popping people. As junglers, the other interesting thing, we just need to see UmTi basically full clear, 2.5 times, so he hits 6 as soon as possible.
Yeah, main thing is tracking right now. You can see the pings were going down as well on the bottom side buff camps there, as TL invested their early presence in getting that ward and fully tracking the Xin Zhao on the way down so that Yeon and CoreJJ could try and get these trades off early on, but the extra tri-brush ward here will also provide enough safety for them to finish off their wave towards the tower and get to punch back.
And Yeon actually went for PTA. So usually what we've seen recently with the Lucian Nami is the first strike, right? Ever since we went to the one-item spike build where you basically use the calling bot. But PTA is going to give you a ton of extra damage in lane if you're able to proc it consistently. It does make sense that they want to try and play towards that, but that sustain of that Yuumi is a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah. Very frustrating. You already have the combat spell advantage for any Yuumi duo. Yeon level 3 now alongside Core. Core burning through a lot of mana to make sure the health stays relatively close. Similar story for Targamas is now Caliste goes all in, and First Blood is there! Outclassed in the 2v2, the exhaust is here. Caliste finally a chance to fire back after 2 miserable laning phases, and he'll find it there. Core sent packing the W, the Ultra Shock Laser will not connect. But that's the 2v2 kill, and it feels like that might be the beginning of the end.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of this matchup, and when the Zeri Yuumi is the side that gets the first blood, it does not go well for the Lucian Nami. That is massive. Caliste, 18 years old. So many of these Yuumi Qs setting him up though and just jumping in immediately, going for the finish on the kill. I mean, they kind of knew, too, as they were sticking around.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it looks like there's no damage, but it's the heal and the barrier used instantaneously as they go in to stop any kill pressure from going down. So that difference in summoner spell is really paying off, even if the exhaust is just used ultimately to poke Core out a little bit more as Canna continues the assault on the top side of the map. Early game working out really nicely for KC so far, and while the early lead is good for KC, it's only a small item difference thus far.
It's just gonna be so hard for TL to lock down a Zeri. That's one of the things when so many things are taken off the board. It's pretty easy for Zeri to get away from Nocturne when you have a Yuumi on your back. So KC, towards the mid stages of the game, if TL are not able to utilize, you know, their global ultimates to make some side lane picks, that's why you're really worried about early money on the Zeri.
It's just so hard because there is no guaranteed CC, right? Like Nautilus and Vi, one of the big reasons why Vi started to come back in the first place is Yeon still going.
Yeon trying to keep people going, knowing that they have no summons left. Bubble goes in, but just barely misses. Caliste able to walk away, but it's still close. And I think Yeon and Core know as long as Caliste is able to finish that first item, they can still do a lot of work in the 2v2 trades. That first kill, it's going to hurt in the long run, but right now, they're still doing fine in the context of the 2v2 as Yike going to walk away empty-handed as he pokes his head in bottom side.
Would have been big if they canceled the backs there. Because UmTi, you could saw as well, was just slightly diverting for a little bit there.
Swapping out.
But he's Nocturne, and really he doesn't really want to get distracted while he's doing the most important thing, which is get to 6 as soon as possible. Should be able to hit it when he clears some of those topside camps. As we do have movement towards the top side, I imagine playing for grubs here is TL.
They're dropping a whole wave to be able to go over there. So drop the wave on bottom.
I'm just going to let it go.
Things out. Impact recalling. Yeon early buff can start to step into Canna, but Canna level 6. Yeon still playing with confidence here is still a squishy mini Gnar at this point in the game. Canna has not had a chance to recall. Caliste Targamas is speeding up to the top side of the map. TP down bot lane for impact. As UmTi's going to start the grubs. Man advantage on the top side for TL. Canna chunked out. Not too bad of a situation.
Doesn't look like you're going to try and look for the steal.
Shock. Okay. That hurts.
UmTi, he has smite available.
Have to smite that one. It feels bad.
Have to smite that.
But you have to get the free, right? Like it gets you defeat. You are also trading a dragon. Like you know that dragon is definitely going to be toast.
Vladi going in. Charm connects. Manages to dodge away. Yike now trying to follow. Wind becomes lightning plus flash available, but he won't use it. So Vladi using his ultimate just for a chunk out there. Can start to pressure more, but APA Patience does manage to walk away. And it's tense. We're 7 minutes in, there's only 1 kill, it's a 500 gold difference, but every play feels like it could be the game defining.
Well, a big reason for that is the compositions that we ended up with here in game number 3 of the Fearless, because there's so many more outs for KC later on, but not so much for TL. UmTi does still wait that red buff for himself and gets to his level 6 on Nocturne, immediately recalls and heads out towards the bottom side of the map, though.
Yeah, both comps played pretty similarly in that they have a really strong mid game. For the dodge.
Outspacing. They've gotten all the cooldowns. Exhaust ticking, forcing the cleanse out.
That's again 2
Yike is the
trade.
jungler coming over here too. Yike is on the way.
Level 6.
He got tagged.
That's the flash. Yeon slowed. Extra movement speed coming in courtesy of Core. Now trying to make it out.
6.
Level 6 for Yeon means he can't just cold away if they try to stay for too long. Taking some of Yike's time at the very least, but not ideal to trade even on Sums, given the extra one, or even trade down on Sums, excuse me, as it was heal and the cleanse used for just the exhaust of KC.
Yeah, as I was saying, I think for KC, the insurance policy is just so good. You know, you have a really strong mid-game draft with a ton of CC, dive, and team fighting potential. But if that fails, if they end up falling behind, there will just be a point in the game where Caliste can fully take over, and that just isn't really there for TL. So I think they are much more reliant on getting value out of these global ults, as Caliste is still level 5, but yeah, he needs to be careful. Once Caliste hits 6, he is going to have an all-in window that is frankly terrifying.
Good respect from Yeon not to immediately use the culling. Caliste keeping his back to that wall so he can just parkour away if the culling does come out. Makes it so awkward for him to try and finish a kill or press the advantage further. APA might be in trouble here. Dash forward. Charm flashed away from good reaction. That'll still cost him the summoner spell. It'll be the repeat gank he has to be careful for, as Vladi does at least use ultimate.
I mean, yeah, UmTi does have a level lead, but the top side recalled here for Team Liquid, so you have nobody to back you up. So it's all kind of posturing.
Gonna get the crab.
I love how we say there's no way, and then he just blast comes over. They didn't expect him to come back.
Here we go. Full committing here. Wall build, the parkour coming over. He still makes it over. Oh, that's infuriating for TL. If the timing had been like a 1/10 of a second, I'm sure he just gets knocked off by the wall appearing there.
It's double rough because APA also, I think UmTi otherwise gets the channel on the flash.
Vladi.
I think the extension actually was what made the difference.
Flash out. Good from 4. Doesn't have good information. Culling now used. Flash over the wall committed onto Vladi. Charm used, but extra movement speed about to come through. But they're going to finish that one. Another auto. Yeon and Core finding the pick in mid lane.
Communication there from the TL side, but the
flash. Ulti in. Yuumi ult coming out as well. Yike trying to split. Core might go down, but Yeon likely to keep his life. Bubble connecting as well. Core sprinting.
Slow.
I just don't think he's fast enough, but he does have the flash. Will walk away, so they burn a lot of resources, but ultimately they get what they came for. They get the kill onto Vladi.
I don't know if that's worth it, though. Yeon not having the flash available is going to be big. We also had Core using his. That means that the potential now for Vladi, who, yes, he doesn't have flash, but he has his ult. It's so easy for him to gap close. And it's not even, we haven't seen Canna join any of these fights yet. So that could be huge as well. And as every time when we see a Nocturne, you're always going to talk about the first ulti. The first ulti was, frankly, not really working out. And I think with Nocturne in particular, if the enemy team knows you're in the area, it takes away so much as impact.
Impact all out onto Canna. Does not manage to connect on the Pathmaker, though, so we'll just use that ult to get a bit more space, clear the wave, even things out.
Yeah, I mean, the top side one with the walls were still connected there, so Caliste is able to get out, and, you know, he still has flash and barrier. It's like going to be so safe there that they can just rotate right back up to Grubs. Teleport does come out from Impact to go up the top side, but UmTi has already decided to seed it for TL, goes down to the other side, finishes up Krugs, go for his reset here, wait for the ultimate cooldown. Like you said, you know, highlighting that Nocturne ultimate being such a big part of trying to make a play, so they're going to wait for it.
Second objective for KC. Neither side has claimed any of the feats. It's 1 kill to 1, no towers have fallen, and just the 2 objectives. Although 3 total have been taken. It was a split on the first Grubs, so neither side going to get the credit as Caliste. Still weathering the storm well in the mid lane. Obviously happy to sit back, knowing that even if he doesn't make an aggressive play, the scaling does very much favor him. Yeon closer and closer to Collector, which will be a big boon in these fights, especially against so many squishy champions on the side of KC.
Okay, here we go. Yike coming down through mid lane, 2 for the 4v4.
APA here, Vladi dashing forward. Charm is going to connect. Are they going to overcommit? Waiting for them to get out of the minefield. APA going to find himself locked up very quickly, but now UmTi goes to the backside. It's going to be Vladi who's in trouble, dashing back to his team. Yuumi coming in to try to seal the deal, but a bit more healing going back, and now it's Caliste going to flick back. A perfect flick going to keep things going. APA trying to finish the kill. Caliste getting lower and lower. He's not powerful enough yet. The flash forward, the exhaust. Targamas is just a little cat. He can't do a damn thing. TL, take the exchange.
KC, they go over into the Nocturne ultimate. They can't see the backside of that team fight, and they overcommit. Huge plays for Team Liquid. Dracos, they have at least just saved their mid game here. That's going to be the Dragon. They push out on both mid wave and bottom wave just when they need it. Team Liquid finds some saving grace. This was a peeling Nocturne ultimate that they set off, and KC dived forward anyway.
It's such a risk because both Nami and Taliyah in these choke points are such a nuisance, right? Even with the E being used early, not able to actually get on top of them. UmTi, meanwhile, is making use of the chaos that the attempt at engage creates to just auto freely, and if Nocturne can get multiple procs of his passive off, he's obviously going to shred through. Had the Hexblade done as well, and now the gold looking completely different. 2K lead here for TL, and Casey, as I said, they still have the insurance policy, but they're gonna kick themselves for that one.
They made it interesting here. I mean, the peel from the Nami and the Taliyah here, as you're kiting back, was just exceptional there for Team Liquid. Let's see what they can do with that injection of money, though. Those extra kills going their way.
And this is big because it puts them back into that comfortable mid-game position they were looking for when they drafted the comp. The advantage that they should have had that they threw away a little bit on that bot side 2v2, now very much back in their control. And UmTi has to be feeling good because, again, that first Nocturne ult didn't work, but the second one hitting, finding those kills, getting the feat of warfare, and TL overall in a much more commanding position.
Yeah, they're still going to be very worried about later Yuumi and Zeri problem and trying to actually lock them down, because as we said, like, they can get away from a Nocturne if you brute force it, but if you can try and create some sort of situation with the engage and the setup towards it, then, you know, maybe a better hope. And the flash is down now. The key here for Team Liquid, a lot of this money onto the Taliyah and the Nocturne, the two most mobile champions here for this team. They can try and move that money around the map for themselves.
There was also the fact that Caliste flashed to try and salvage the play at the end there. No flash on the Zeri is actually a big deal. Even with all the safety that she has, it means that players like UmTi flashing forward with a fear are going to be a lot of a bigger issue. And we have now hit the collector power spike, and as we can see, Yeon is just going mid, shoving in waves. And we've now reached the point that Caliste is only sitting on UmTi, doesn't really get to match. Have to be respectful, and we'll see if TL is able to turn this into a lot of objectives. Because the one downside for KC is who actually face checks, right? Because obviously Yike is okay.
Are they going to go for this dive?
Maybe.
They're sending pings on it. Rotation already on the way.
They have a lot of burst, but I think he's close to Mega.
Cross map for the side of KC would have been the top side dive, but instead they might just look mid. Cliss still only level 8.
They're on a ward.
Cliss want to keep stepping up and poking. Vladi's advantage is come from just chipping out the opposition. UmTi now too far away as well.
They keep pinging that bottom side, which makes us think that, you know, they're setting up for this play, and they have the deep ward there that they saw. They actually saw it placed in the lane. Yike was up on top side, but Yike is now recalled, so there's not a lot of time for this to go off.
Mini-Nar's a sleepy boy. He's not really going to have a good way to this one. Flashes now, trying to get a little bit tricky with it, but he goes all out. UmTi tanking the tower, but just a blinking health bar. Canna's still standing for a little bit too long. Third stack on the Hyper. Canna trying to run. Manages to get one back again. TL find the kill, but trade one in return.
If you go for that, Yeon and Core need to be there. You can't pull the trigger that early. You just don't have the damage. That flash from Canna, absolutely huge. Denies the CC, means that he gets so much extra damage off. And KC pulling closer in gold thanks to that 1-for-1.
That was a great job by Canna, breaking the fear tether there. Yeah. That's why he forces the flash out from the Nocturne, gets all the extra damage, and goes 1-for-1 again. So many of these KC members, last time it was Vladi, good for 1 in all these multi-person games. This time, Canna's still good for 1, even with all the TL members coming for the dive. But it was a really nice job to avoid the critical CC there and open them up. And of course, then the full rotation down meant that they also lost a bit on the top side. You know, Vladi was able to push in. Team Liquid lost, by the way. Now we've got a little sneak around through the alcove as well, but this doesn't look like anybody's going to be there for that play.
TL still holding on to that 2K gold lead. As you highlighted, a lot of that going to be, some of that going to be in the jungle because of the kills that UmTi has, but split out. Impact still suffering a bit in the isolated 1v1 when he doesn't have anyone else around. And again, all eyes on Caliste. He is the ticking time bomb that is forcing TL to try and make these consistent, aggressive plays, knowing how difficult it will be to answer him as we get later in the game, getting closer and closer to level 11. The second rank and all that lower cooldown can make it available in even more fights.
The other one is Canna. I think for him, just actually get... Oh, as APA?
APA, good knockback on a Yike.
on. He's a psycho. He's gonna...
Pulling.
Ooh.
Chunking Yike out. The objective started by the rest of the team, so this should just be an easy Herald pickup. KC backing away.
Yeah, that objective won right there by Yeon. He chunks out Caliste, and then they're able to finish off a big chunk onto Yike as well, so they don't get any kills, but they do take enough health bars to earn themselves a Rift Herald, which is critical in pushing the timeline of this game forward. Using that Rift Herald to knock down these outer turrets is critical for this team that needs to make use of Nocturne Ultimate and Taliyah picks.
I do think that the Nocturne gives this comp a lot more longevity than it otherwise will because of how much more capability you have of finding flanks, right? If you do get on top of the backline, as strong as that Zeri Yuumi combo is, I do think with how far behind Yike and Vladi are, there's going to be a lot of burst damage lacking that otherwise might have been there. And Canna, his side lane pressure isn't going to be quite as scary, even though he will win both 1v1s pretty comfortably.
Caliste ulting, trying to clear the wave, does not want to concede mid lane tower. Yeon hopping into the Herald to try and escape. Might look for the knock on Caliste. Well, at the very least, get the crash as the ulti comes out in the meantime. The split, his impact is now going for the 2v2. Yike caught out, isolated, wall coming in. Yike will fall even as the dragon dies. In favor of KC, a quick pick. Bit of a messy split exchange. Mid lane tower won't drop from the Herald, but Yeon will keep his life, and they'll still find a kill.
I'm pretty sure that's a win for KC. Yes, in terms of gold, it's rough, but I'm pretty sure that got them defeats because I think they were only a single objectives away. And then trading a kill for a dragon, I don't think is the end of the world.
Definitely not the end of the world. I would also say the feats themselves are not the end of the world, not the biggest deal as well, but certainly.
When TL got defeats, because of course they got defeat of Warfare earlier, and then the tower was
all right,
top side.
I take it back.
But it would have. If they had defended top lane tier 1, that would have been the moment.
I do like the feint here, though, because it looks initially as if Team Liquid is going to go really hard on this play towards the mid lane of the map, because you can even see the bot lane is, trying to peel off, but instead find a turn onto Yike and get that kill.
And this is exactly what we were highlighting for what Team Liquid need to do in this game to make those transition plays with the Nocturne plus Taliyah movement. And UmTi is like, you know what? I'm going to go in, try and get the Smite Steal. If I don't get it, I don't get it. It was a little bit late for the Smite Steal, but they still have the timing there with the Taliyah wall to section off the extra pick.
Caliste, aggressive use of the ult, he clears the wave, starts to trade more, but isn't going to get much else. In this game overall, TL finding that composure crucially in Game 3 as they needed to. And KC, while they do have that late game insurance option, a few too many picks going in the favor of TL. The play that they overforced on the bottom side of the river is what's making this game more difficult than it maybe initially had to be. Is Yeon stepping up with the culling. Yike there to body block a few bullets, but a lot of healing already coming out from that Yuumi.
Okay, UmTi trailing on bottom side as well. That Nocturne with the ultimate available.
Dash forward. Vladi just trying to one-shot the wave, going away from tower, but loses vision just in time, right as he sees the Xin.
Yeah, exactly. That's the critical part. They lost the vision of the Ahri, but they also gained vision of the reinforcements, which means they can rotate back over towards mid.
I think he was happy that he didn't go in on that one. Would not have ended well, but the coverage was there. Mid lane turret now.
TL desperate to get this mid lane tier 1, knowing how much it'll open for them, but KC are just not going to let it go. Consistently throwing so many members to stop the push, to hold on to that last sliver of health.
Yeah, the extra defense here with these outer towers that are barely still standing. Wait.
Getting chunked.
Ooh. A lot of damage to come through. Both barrier, heal, and exhaust are available still, though, here for Caliste, so he'll be trying to give them a false sense of security. Holding onto this mid lane turret is so big, though. We'll see if KC can actually do it.
That come in for the shield. They're just killing the wave so quickly. That's the power of the Rune and second.
So hard as Lucian as well.
Bottom's got to go down, though.
You want to get this turret so badly, again, because I think that once KC start giving up map control, it's really hard to reach
it.
The
Otacon.
Yeah, the bottom went down as well. UmTi was already like 50% done with the Otacon, so they're keeping up the pressure here on multiple fronts for Team Liquid.
I don't think KC are ready for this Otacon. Yike. Excellent start for TL. KC feel like they're winning this, but now they realize they've lost the Otacon, and this was not the trade that they thought it was.
Flower power.
So much XP going over and adaptive force on top of it.
Wow, Team Liquid here, keeping up so much pressure, bouncing between mid and bottom lane, making use of extra fear that they are instilling in KC with those globals, and the pressure finally mounts on the bottom side. They get 2 objectives in that small time span, with the outer turret also being a very, very big win for them. So increase in the gold lead, but again, the experience and the extra damage, the stats that you get here with those flowers are going to go a long way. APA on his Taliyah that we really highlighted. Richest person in the game and 2 levels up on Vladi with all of this side lane play.
And Canna obviously going to be farming damage, playing Gnar into the Cassante, but it's Yeon and Caliste that are at the top here already. And I expect that to not change as this game continues. It's a lot of damage, but
so much
again,
down.
Wave's still cleared. Maybe this chunk is enough on the next push.
I want to see Yeon's damage done for this whole game, because this man is just always playing aggressively with the Lucian. CoreJJ at his back, going up, chunking out health bars.
And he has to.
Exactly, and he's doing it so well so far as they actually are going to go for Canna here. Canna does have Mega and Flash.
15-second timer on the Mega once it procs. Can just stop the backs, try to prevent him from going anywhere else.
Slow play it.
Canna.
Okay.
Crunch out to safety.
That's
Flash
a big win.
as well. Yeah.
Dragon's up, don't overchase though. Dragon is up at the moment, so everyone rotating down towards that.
They finally got it, by the way. After all the effort, mid lane turret has fallen. Casey already chunked. I think you might want to just give this one up. Don't think you need to play too aggressive before the spike. On your Zeri, 3 items not quite there yet. TL,
Canna's still asleep.
looking for the fight.
Nice flick over the wall means Vladi's chunk before the fight even starts, but AP is not in a great position. Might be forced to use his ult. Could come down to the 50-50. Yike now going in, trying to lock up the Lucian. Nice disengage coming in from Core, and Yike's just about to get deleted. Yeon now on a rampage. Instantly the backside devastated. Canna going Mega. Manages to lock 2 on the wall, but the interrupt, the unstoppable there. Now the exhaust going in. Caliste has to make the difference. Has to take down Yeon, but he is not enough. Even with the cam out to his back, he manages to find one, tries to get another. Targamas demounted. TL taking everything.
Oh man, the chunks before the fight were so big for Team Liquid too. The Ahri went into that fight with like 30% HP because APA found him over the edge, and then it was just a full send. Impact and UmTi went through, they assassinate the Ahri, and TL gets such a big early lead in this fight. Chronicler, take us through the pressure that KC were feeling here.
I think they can back off. That's the big thing. This wasn't even sole points. It was just for a second dragon. The chunks come through, and the fight is so segmented, right? The backline isn't there. We immediately take out both Yike, who on the turn wasn't really immediately there with the rest of his team. And you need to be so crisp if you want that turn to work, right? I think that, in my opinion, going for the fight in the first place was a big gamble with the chunks that came through. Just let them have the dragon. You can peel off, because the engage isn't actually that good. On TL, there's no Ornn, there's no Nautilus, but instead, that might be the play that breaks the game. Finally, 25 minutes in.
And I think one of the big things about this Xin is against longer range champions who struggle to deal a lot of damage. When he ults, it feels so impossible to play against him. But Yike is woefully far behind. He's 0-3. You jump into a Lucian, he's like, yes, please, sir, let's go. So much more powerful in that circumstance. Core can immediately disengage. And now Vladi forced to ult just to get away from that bit of CC.
Yeon retains his Lucian license.
Yeah, I really think I regret him getting that. I think that he's too young. Don't give him the Lucian license.
It's kind of crazy, right? Because we're so used to, like, it's been beaten into us over and over, seeing it lose so many times.
Not allowed for anyone.
But Yeon,
for Yeon,
time and time again, Yeon is cracked. 3 items on the Lucian. His damage stats are going to be through the roof this game, constantly putting out so much pressure for Team Liquid. And APA's Taliyah still retains the 2-level lead here. You know, their globals are going to be really shining now as they try and close the pressure onto KC. You see KC even just struggling to retain vision control of their own jungle here.
And I think that they've found the recipe for success on the side of TL. It is the poke from the Taliyah, it is the poke from the Lucian culling to stop KC from getting into range. Now they have advantage, now they have pressure, they can set up first on the objectives, and as long as they don't let the team start a fight on full HP, a lot of that scaling is just never going to come through. But now Yike, waiting in the darkness, 11K.
Looking for a turn. Look, it's Yeon, he's the gatekeeper. He's not letting them in.
Go!
He's ready to pull. Caliste chunks Vladi there with the red buff. Canna starting to poke. The objective, a bit of a split call. Hop out. Bubble doesn't connect. Core still has ulti.
Poke's good, though. And I think TL are making the right call to back off. The burst is still there. But I want to see that third item. We need IE on Caliste.
Tidal wave over the wall. Yike potentially caught out, forcing an early ultimate. Flick back hits, but not the damage to come through. Impact trying to push Yike back to the team. Yike still holding on for a brief moment. KC zoned off, pushed away, could not get any damage down, could not move through the minefield. Nice forward dash coming in from Vladi to get away from the seismic shove. APA on point, but the dashes are there. Yeon, nice backstep. Such a close fight, but TL just continue to poke here and will turn back to the Baron.
Really great usage of the ultimates to not directly set up APA for the seismic shove, but force them into a position where he could hit the seismic shove. That one barely misses.
TP coming in, Vladi on the way.
It's going to be so hard. Vladi needs to find a hero play, or Caliste needs to go crazy, but he doesn't have IE just yet. That's such a big spike for the Zeri.
Half-Finger used. APA not going to connect on the flick.
Are they going to commit?
As he has the minefield, it'll be big. 10K getting lower. They're not focusing their damage on the objective. It's going to take some time. Caliste starting to poke, starting to harass. The Baron doing a decent amount of damage back. They know no jungler's there. It's not a 50-50, but Vladi goes in. Nice dash back. Coming through from Yeon. Clutch of the moment. 4K. They're getting lower, though. They can't afford to stick around with Caliste right on top of them. They need to burst down the champion. Huge jump from APA. UmTi immediately goes in. The exhaust. Out. Goes to Zeri, Yeon low. Yike's there! The wall. Will not commit to the objective. 3 blinking health bars on the side of TL, but the range isn't there. The fall-off isn't there. They will walk away. Okay, KC managed to stop the Baron from going down.
Oh, it is so intense, and that was a critical stop from KC. That Baron would have broken the game there for Team Liquid. This was the initial pick we were talking about. The Nami ult zones the Xin back, so then APA is able to hit the shove. Impact, even though he gets charmed, able to ult and secure the jungle pick. Then it gets dicey, though. Here we go. KC with a critical contest on this Baron.
A really big thing is that Yeon is zoning, right? He's the gatekeeper, which means that Baron is barely going down. They don't have the fastest Baron take in the world anyway. And then there you see KC smelling the weakness. If Caliste, again, has IE, I think they just get completely chunked with them. That moment right there almost gets the turnaround. And I think TL can be really happy that that Baron reset, because otherwise, if it doesn't reset and Yike makes it over the wall, they just get the Baron. And then KC, that lead doesn't mean nearly as much anymore.
And there's a small window here. There is no exhaust, there is no heal for Caliste. He has flash, he has IE. He is still a threat that has to be respected, but there's a window here for TL as they take this third Drake to maybe look for a pick, to maybe force a fight before those summoners are back up for Targamas.
I think the problem, though, for KC with the rest of the team in the state that it is that TL can very reliably put all their resources into taking down Caliste. Because of how far behind Vladi and Yike are, they're not nearly as big of threats as they could have been otherwise.
Yeah, the mid game has just been so massive for Team Liquid that UmTi has a jungle level lead of 4 levels here over Yike on the Nocturne.
He's almost like flamorizing in.
UmTi is higher level than the top laners, okay? This Nocturne is such a massive global presence on the map right now that TL did such a good job playing into their strong mid game that they have so much map-wide pressure here, and they need to use that, though, to finally break it. That's why in the last fight, I say KC were, even though they lost Canna, they were happy to at least stop the Baron, even just giving over 1 kill.
I think the big thing is you have to just call it UmTi again. You mentioned his scoreline thus far. Game 1, he dominated Yike. Game 3, he's dominating Yike. This is a guy who every single pundit in the world agreed on one thing, and is that they were not convinced by UmTi, but this series today, Game 1, Game 3, despite a lackluster first ult, managed to bounce back in this game. The team coordination around these fights has been excellent. KC running out of ways to play the game. We talked about the one late game scaling option. It's starting to feel like their only option, but maybe APA has been caught out. UmTi coming in. Can they find the immediate solo kill? Crunch back out. Yeon's waiting over the wall. Canna likely to fall here. Weaver's wall coming out as well. Canna nowhere left to go. Tries to get the wall down, gets a bit of CC, gets a chunk, but there's no follow-up as Caliste just forced to walk away.
Again, you just really have to respect these Nocturne Global here. It is so hard to do anything in the side lanes for KC and TL. They pull the trigger, they get their kill once again.
And the one point of map pressure to have is Canna, right? Like, obviously Caliste is the big guy in terms of trying to still carry the team fights, but Canna in a side lane, he's still sitting on free items. He can be a threat, but there is just so little that he can do. Look at from how far the rest of the team is able to join here as he tries to go, even dodges the initial setup, right? APA's attempt at a flick, but it just doesn't matter.
I think he thought for a second before he sees the rest of the members that he could, because he could have jumped in with the crunch, he could have tried to throw 2 houses to finish the kill, but thought maybe he'd get away. Instead, walks away empty-handed as TL, once again, starting the objective.
This is gone.
There's nothing that KC can do for this one. It's too far gone. Yike will be just in time to see it stolen or taken away from him. TL now have the Baron. This is the break point we talked about. This is where it gets so impossible for KC to fight back. Their wave clear is not great. It is really just the short range of the Ahri.
Yeah, Baron buff, the biggest tool here for Team Liquid to truly break open this game and push in deep into KC territory.
Caliste still poking, still playing at the edge, doesn't want to give them anything for free. The topside pressure is there. Canna, without information on UmTi, just knows that he cannot walk forward. Will try to at least a bit. Dodges the initial seismic shove.
And this solves one of the biggest issues that we've seen this composition have for TL, which is their short range and their siege sucks, right? Like Lucian isn't that good at taking down turrets. Same for the Taliyah as Yeon. He's far up. They're looking for a possible collapse here.
Ultra shock laser hits.
They're so fast.
Now the turn coming in.
Where's he
UmTi wants
going?
to start this fight. He thought he had the flank, but he was the one getting taken down. Yeon now legendary. Impact TPing in just in time to eat the charm. Pathmaker not quite the right direction, but it just does not matter. That pick on top of the Baron is going to spell disaster. Caliste, the double kill! Instantly one-popped Yeon. 4 items. Makes the Zeri disappear.
It had been a while since I really just loved a Lucian Nami this much, Dracos. That's beautiful!
We kept talking about the IE for Caliste, thereby completely ignoring the fact that Yeon is finished. Fortunately, he was awake as he pops what I think was the one small sliver of hope that was there for
Vladi
KC.
running. The scaling was not enough. Zeri, not enough. TL might have faltered in the first few minutes, but they put their foot on the gas and they never stopped in this game 3. KC, one last desperate hold. TL don't want to get over eager. Yeon taking his time, almost one popping Vladi. He just does too much damage. Yike isolated once again. UmTi taking his time with the ult. They want KC to remember this moment. Caliste might be able to force a fight, but he cannot stop the Nexus from falling. TL take down KC.
Impressive stuff from Team Liquid here. They have received so much criticism this year, even from myself in particular, and they immediately stand up to all of that. UmTi has 2 extremely good performances. Yeon still remains LTA MVP. Huge stuff from him. Work put in on the Lucian Nami. Wow.
And this final game also delivering a much more tense affair.
Yeah, what a best of 3.
Actually ending up nicely. You can see the joy there for TL as they take the win 2-1.
Incredible stuff for TL. What a way to start the tournament. We'll see what they can do as we get further in the tournament. For now, though, we're going to break down that game and tune in to the press conference with APA and Impact right after this break.